I'd like to introduce to you a band that you know and love. Come to you like the sound of equipment being thrown from a moving van, the sound of dead cell phones and oil rigs, the sound of empty parking lots and school buses. They love to live and live to love. Ladies and gentlemen, Jesus Children of America, the White Stripes.
Hello, come on in. The water's great. My name is Ryan Schaap, and this is the hardest podcast to podcast, the only podcast covering the White Stripes that I know of, celebrating them a song at a time, one song per episode. How is everybody doing this week? Me, myself, I'm quite well. Not gonna lie, just recorded a very fun episode. A few weeks of some of the larger, more well-known songs. We're going deep, deep, deep in finding those sympathetic sounds of Detroit. And I had a great conversation with our dear friend of the show, Matt Kerr. Through some diligent research and homework and doing my due diligence, I was able to learn a fair bit about this song, a lot more than I had ever thought. And it all comes out in our conversation tonight. Tonight, tomorrow, day, evening, morning, I don't know when you're listening to this. It could be March. It could be March of 2027. There's no way of knowing. However, whenever, wherever, thank you for listening to this podcast. Our dear friend, Nate Prevedoros, who has been on the show twice. He's done Bone Broke, and he has done Rag and Bone. He does all the Bone songs here on Hardest Podcast to Podcast. I met him through Mike. I went and saw his band Dead Summer perform at the Biltmore Cabaret here on the weekend. He performs with just a drummer, very Stripes-esque. For a two-piece band, they've got a shitload of gear on stage. I think he plays through 3 different guitar amps. He also plays this Gretsch bass, and the sound that the sounds that emanate from this thing are on another level. An absolute sick band. I cannot recommend enough. And a band that I hope goes for it because there's something so special and just an absolute talent on that stage. And I enjoyed the hell out of their performance. And for a guy whose rig that really sounds like Jack White, he only had 3 pedals that are Jack White adjacent, and none of them are made by Third Man hardware. So kudos to the micro amp and the Digitech whammy, and of course the greatest guitar pedal of all that affects all tone whatsoever, the Boss TU2 tuner in white. If you haven't yet, go over to patreon.com/hardestpodtopod and check out our offerings over there. Our most recent episode, our most recent piece of bonus content featured this week's guest, Mr. Matt Kerr, discussing the 2008 documentary, It Might Get Loud. And I'm going to have an unboxing there soon when it arrives. I can't recall if I brought it up last week, but we've got a very exciting package coming to the Hardest Podcast to Podcast studios, and that being the original split 7-inch single with the Dirt Bombs for Multiball magazine. That's right, I've got my grubby little mitts, which I will clean. I'm going to get my grubby little mitts on the original pressing with the Multiball magazine, the punk rock, the zine devoted to punk rock and devoted to pinball, 2 of God's greatest creations. And on the 3rd day, God created the White Stripes. So I'm going to be ripping that thing apart delicately and going through the old Multiball magazine. And I'll do that on a video on our Patreon. So if you want to support this show, you got a few bucks kicking around, go to patreon.com/hardestpodtopod. Or maybe as a one-timer, you just want to give us a little tip. And I hope that is a monetary tip, and that is not here's a tip, be better at podcasting tip. You can go to buymeacoffee.com/hardestpodtopod. All of the money that we accumulate and we get from our loyal listeners and friends of the show gets reinvested right back into this show. Here's a real throwback request. Can you go and rate and review this podcast on your streaming platform of choice? Maybe it's Spotify podcast, maybe it's Apple, Google Podcasts, whatever. That thing still really works, and that still really helps us out when you rate and review, when you do that usual stuff. So I feel like it's a decade ago, and I'm a podcaster begging and pleading for iTunes reviews, but if you could help us out, greatly appreciate it. Those are the plugs. Go to hardestpodtopod.com. All our links are there. It's just a link tree, but we got the domain. And if you like what you're hearing on the show, send me an email to ryan@hardestpodtopod.com or just slide into the DMs. We're on hardestpodtopod on all the social media platforms we should be on. On that note, it is now time for our call to action this week. Here's what you need to do. For the love of God, hit pause on this podcast. I cannot stress this enough. For the love of God, hit pause on this podcast. You need to hit pause. You need to go to your streaming platform of choice. Let's just assume that it's Spotify or Apple Music. Okay, we don't have time to assume other things. Maybe it's Google. I'm sorry. Maybe it's YouTube. I'm really sorry. You got to go to those. You got to go to your streaming platform of choice. You got to go find Red Death at 6:14. You're not going to find it. Don't find the one that's from Sympathetic Sounds for Detroit. You need to get the one that's released by the White Stripes. Are you there yet? Oh my God. Am I still paused? Am I just yelling to myself? Okay. You need to listen to Red Death at 6:14. It's going to be listed. It's going to be found under the Handsprings single from Record Store Day 2012. You need to know why you need to do this. You need to know why you got to do this. I'm trying not to be frantic. We all need to remain calm. You need to listen to this so that the listener data correlates with their streaming data, and we show our little influence, and that little blip of data gets bigger and bigger each and every week. And only 600,000 people have streamed Red Death at 6:14 on Spotify. So let's bump that number up. Oh my God. 3, 2, 1. Thank you for hitting pause. No need to go back and listen to what I was just doing, which was definitely not frantic or stressful. Frantic and stressful aside, it's time to speak with our dear Matt Kerr. Our guest this week, the second 3-time returning guest here on the Hardest Podcast to Podcast. One hell of a drummer, performing in the hardcore outfit Terrifying Girls High School. They're an accomplished film producer, and their name is Matt Kerr. Matt, welcome back. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. I'm really excited to talk about the White Stripes.
I feel I have cultivated a small but significant number of people that really fit that role, and I can turn to you as a fan of music and culture and art, but also an intellectual, and we can have a lovely conversation about a song that probably you had not heard until when I asked you to cover it maybe 48 hours ago.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't think I had heard it before. I could be confused. I put on the White Stripes in the background every once in a while. And some of their music does tend to sound kind of samey if you listen to like 20 songs in a row or something like that.
Sure, yeah.
So, like I said, I haven't noticed that I've heard this song before, if that makes any sense. And I just to comment on what you said right before, I am, I feel very blessed to be part of the HP2P extended universe.
Oh,
which is Hardest Podcast to Podcast if you're not an HP2P head.
and there are a couple of HP2P heads out there, and I know vanity plates in their neighboring in their cities, and the convention. It rivals the Kiss cruise. So I'm glad everybody's here.
Make sure you hit the 2 key, not the T. HPTP is nothing.
Yeah, that's a canceled internet protocol that you just don't want. You don't want to stumble down that thing.
Exactly.
Okay, Matt. Where do you want to start? Do you want to tell me? We've listened to this song. I'm not gonna lie. I've listened to this song on loop from my commute home.
Yes.
And I do this every now and then with songs. I'll start off the top by saying this is one of my favorite White Stripes songs.
It's a lot of fun. Like, having not listened to it a lot before yesterday, like you said, smashed it on repeat during yard work. And yeah, like, I feel like blessed to be on this one because it feels like, an unusual White Stripes like punk song for at least a third of it. How would I describe what I was gonna say? So it feels like there's 3 songs in one here.
Yes,
A
I
classic
completely
White
agree.
Stripes song, a punk song, a children's song, and then I guess the solo isn't its own song, but it feels like a Delta Blues BB King solo, even more than the usual Jack White bluesy solo. Like it feels like I said, like it feels like it's from an earlier time frame. So it's like the song feels kind of disjointed in this way, but it all like somehow coalesces into one edible meal, if that makes any sense.
No, it makes perfect sense, because if you're like putting this song on repeat, on probably listening to it like 6-7 times, and my first takeaway was I would listen to the music, I would listen to the structure and how it's kind of and how it's put together, and then I'd keep forgetting to listen to the lyrics, which are insanely primitive, and there's
Yeah.
just not a lot there. But like for a song this is another case of a song that is just so complex and just has so many moving parts that you kind of don't know what to focus on. And it's a very easy song to listen to several times in a row, because I can't think of a lot of things that sound like this as a whole. And it's very, very captivating, I think, is how I would put it.
And I'm not 100% sure, but it feels like that the tempo is constantly changing. So it feels like you're listening to something new, every 30 seconds.
Yeah. And this song, I mean, the White Stripes are like that, on their biggest albums and some of their, most popular songs, they are not metronomes. And I mean, you and I can, you're a hardcore drummer. You'll be the first person to say that rock and roll is not about keeping perfect time. That's Ringo Starr's job.
I mean, like, no one's keeping perfect time but a machine, right? I was just listening to a interview with Jimmy Iovine.
Oh yeah.
Of Beats Headphones fame, and like, a truly legendary music producer if you look at his if you look at his CV. And he was talking about how he had trouble dealing with all drummers because they would all be off to his ear.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, well, that just means that your ear is like too sensitive, man. Like clearly, you know what I mean? Like, so
if Jimmy Iovine's takeaway is like, oh, I can't like this Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers song because while it's so catchy and memorable, it's just not on the ones and two. It's not as tight as it could be.
I feel like he just like his like feeling was like, I love Tom so much, and this drumming jerk is ruining it. Like we have this great artist here, and then we have this technician who can't find the one. Like, and I'm like, fair enough, I guess, but like, I don't know, it's a bit too ticky tacky for me. Like, and again, like, you're out here trying to deliver emotion rather than, technical prowess, is in my opinion, right? Like,
yeah,
you can like an AI could deliver a perfect sonata, but is it gonna like make you feel anything? In my experience, no.
Excellent sonata, of course, but just the lacking of soul and meaning and feeling. And
yeah,
I feel your pain in looking for the perfect composition created by artificial intelligence, Matt.
I'm not about to look. I mean, I don't need to.
So this song is there's a lot about this song that I want to get to. So I kind of want to focus on just the kind of build of it. The lyrics are very simple. All Jack is asking is what's that she said? What's that she said? With her fingers turning blue and her face was turning red. Next verse is, was that her dad? Was that her dad with a magic marker writing little angel on her head? And then finally we get a little morbid here. She must be dead. She must be dead. If the only sound I hear are the devils by her bed. So clearly the song is called Red Death at 6:14. It's clearly about in whatever capacity, somebody dying or a tragic incident. You've listened to this song many times in the last little while. How important are the lyrics of this song, or could he be saying almost anything in those parts?
Yeah, on some level, it feels like a caveman communicating not a whole lot. Then in the other, it's like a mystery because it's so, your brain can fill in a story around the, like 3 lines of lyrics that he repeats a few times. So
Yeah.
in my mind, it's a story of someone who asphyxiated on like either food or an object, and then they were found by a negligent parent
Yeah.
who clearly they didn't even care. They just drew an angel on the forehead of this dead child.
Nothing we can do about it. On to the next one.
Yeah, it's like, a good parent, well, first of all, wouldn't find themselves in that situation with a choked out child. That's not I don't know what to say. Like maybe I'm judging too harshly. I've never been a parent, but that's my immediate gut reaction. And then, but one would assume they would have a emotional reaction, not just to like scribble something on their forehead and move on. And then the next line is that they must be dead. So yeah.
So it's a unique one. I think in terms of subject matter, Jack White will tend to write more about the living, social experiences and love and all that. Not too many literally morbid songs from the White Stripes out there. You mentioned that this is like, it feels like it's 3 different songs.
Yes.
You've got the
sonically, yeah.
Sonically, I completely agree. And it's as jarbled as it is, it all works by having the most confusing, kind of unique sound connecting them. You've got Meg, it becomes like a nursery rhyme of la, 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 and which it just kind of, it's a little, not demonic, but it's a little uneasy feeling. Like it just sounds a little evil. Goes into the sick riff. And then you've got the coughing, which until now I did not even connect the two. So probably going to go with choking. And then you've got the la la la's and the coughing again. And that's that. This song is, I was watching a interview of theirs. It didn't matter at all that it was taking place in Japan and that they had an interpreter asking the questions, but they basically asked like, what's your idea of rock and roll? And Meg answered first, and Jack agreed that it's like, it all comes down to attitude. And all they say is rock and roll is an attitude. And I feel like this is a perfect example of rock and roll as an attitude with everything that this song is and how it feels and makes you feel. It's all attitude.
Totally. 100%. Like performed by the wrong people, like, or, if you just took the musical notes and the lyrics and put them in front of someone and didn't give them a recording of this song and said, perform this.
Oh God.
The attitude of rock and roll may not shine through. Right. That's my, but I think this is a good song, and that like what you're saying is 100% true, but like, it's kind of like how the really impressive restaurants in the world obsess over presentation. Yeah. Because the ingredients are the same in many, like you can only buy so good of potatoes. You can only buy so good of corn. Eventually the way you're going to differentiate yourself is the vibes, like
at the end of the day, you still got to boil those potatoes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So this song is a very cool little piece of the White Stripes. This it was recorded in the summer of 2000. So they are in that kind of distill era. One thing I like about this song, Matt, is you can still hear he got a little more subtle over time, whether that was live or in the studio, but you can hear Jack giving Meg the cues a bit. When it's time to go into the verse of like, he'll drop a hey or a yeah, and all of a sudden
hitting the woos like he's the natural. Wait, is that right?
Nature Boy.
Nature Boy, yeah. There we go. Not the natural. Oh my God, that was embarrassing.
That's very funny because there's a much less remarkable wrestler who went by the Natural. But
Oh no! Oh, my cred. It's
your cred is
destroyed.
Jack's
don't
had.
tell-
I
Don't tell
I won't.
Josh or Mike.
I won't. No, they don't listen to this show. Don't worry. Jack has a storied history of dropping woos in his songs, in the White Stripes songs, and I feel this is an S tier woo, and he hits it every time. And you hear other cues, but I feel like a woo is kind of okay. We're going hit the crash. We're going into this because the song is a little scatterbrainy. That if you're trying to get it done in a matter of time in a certain window of time, there's a lot to remember for a band who Jack regularly applauded that they didn't practice, kind of thing, or tried to practice as little as possible. So a lot of cues in this.
As a guy who practices with their band once a week at best, I very much understand using a vocal or visual cue from someone else to remind you that a different drum part is coming up.
Yeah.
Like, this is something my band employs quite regularly, and that my lead singer finds incredibly frustrating to orchestrate. Like, there's songs where he'll be looking over his shoulder and pointing at me to
and you're like, hey, I know that guy.
Change parts, that type of thing.
Yeah.
The idea of throwing a woo in the song to change, to add a cue, that's something I hadn't even considered, and I've been doing it. I've been in this business for a long time.
See, Jack, you're a Renaissance man. Jack White, clearly a Renaissance man, and making the people around them even better than they already are. And so maybe at practice tonight, you can mention these woos and
oh yeah,
yeah.
I think I might. I mean, yeah. The moment we're done recording, I'm going to practice. So,
so this song kind of goes back to the summer of 2000, and there's we'll do the structure of the song first. The White Stripes were in the attic of their house, of their home base, which is 1203 Ferdinand, Jack White's family's house that he grew up in and then eventually took over. They were working on this song that would eventually be titled Red Death at 614. Through some sort of sonic alchemy, Jack White's amplifier had turned radiophonic. When an amp turns radiophonic, you can send and receive sound transmissions from it. And it was like, he's using very old equipment. He's using a Sears Silvertone. He's got things, a lot of power going into that thing. And this makes some sense to me.
Yeah, I've seen this type of thing happen before, especially if you have a cell phone near the amp, where you'll maybe get a call coming in and then all of a sudden you're picking up the radio.
Yep.
That type of thing, I've seen that happen before. And it's always really unnerving where you're like, the ghosts are in this room. Like, why is the amp picking up? In theory, it has no, pickup or transmission hardware. But all of a sudden you're hearing a ad for, whatever the local car lot is.
Yeah. This is there's no landline or Wi-Fi adapter on this thing. I shouldn't be hearing this thing.
Yeah, it's very strange, unnerving usually.
you mentioned, oh no, the ghosts are here on this particular day at this particular time in Southwest Detroit. That ghost went by the name Rude Rick.
Oh, nice! I love a jock.
Yeah,
a disc jockey.
Well, they don't know. They think it was likely somebody with a CB radio.
Oh.
And he seems to go by the handle Rude Rick. They mentioned their location, which is the intersection of Michigan and Scotton, which is like a mile and a half from their house on Ferdinand. And this it was recorded on some tape that wound up being on Distill demos. But the main thing is that this guy was communicating with Jack through a guitar and an amp, and it was recorded onto tape. And that is how the intro of this song, where it comes from, is that's Rude Rick yelling at Jack a mile and a half down the road. But he lives up to his namesake, because through some exceptional sleuthing last night, I found that you could a larger part of that interaction was available to listen. So I'm going to play you an extended version of Rude Rick and the White Stripes.
I love this. This is awesome. I'm very excited.
You're gonna love Rude Rick. Rude Rick runs that town, and I've said too much. Let's go into it.
Southwest side's ours too. We're in Southwest Detroit right now.
I'll show you who rules Southwest side. I rule the Southwest side. You ain't stopping a goddamn thing, motherfucker. Hey, all you gotta do is ask for road rage.
Road rage? You said road rage? What? Road Rick? Rude Rick?
Hey, motherfucker, I don't give a Southwest side band name, motherfucker. You understand that?
They call rock and roll the devil music. They call the Gibson SG the Satan's guitar. How would you feel if you were in band practice and rehearsal, and like a character like Rude Rick comes out of the earth and in through your loud, distorted speakers?
I felt like I was in a 70s slasher movie. I'm just listening to it in my house, like with an intro. You know, the quality of the sound coming out of that amp was so, like I said, without knowing this story at all, like this is so unnerving and strange. Like Rude Rick seemed so upset.
Yeah,
that they were like challenging his territorial claim on Southwest Detroit, was it? Yeah. Either way, that's crazy. Imagine you're getting ready to record some music, and all of a sudden, this surly ghost is coming out of your amp, telling you that like he owns where you are, and like you're just trying to set up your stuff, and this guy's like, I don't know, in your house, like telling you what's
my house now.
Yeah, it's your
motherfucker.
Yeah, and one would assume that this guy's just in his house using his, was it ham radio? You think
a ham or a CB radio?
Something like that.
A truck or something.
Yeah, that kind of thing. And he's just like wasting time and like being unruly as heck. He has no time for youths or loud music. Like Rude Rick is he's got places to be. And I'm asked for Rude Rick, motherfucker. Not to be. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, just off the top, I never could quite make sense of what the intro was. I always thought it was like a police radio, and the interpreted lyrics were like, "We got a cop down at 614." So Rude Rick throws an even larger wrinkle in that type of that theory.
And sorry, what did Jack say? He misinterpreted Rude Rick's name.
As Road Rage.
Road Rage, yeah, so good.
Which would have made, if I was in Rude Rick's shoes, and I'm like, you don't know the name of Rude Rick, and you're Road Rage? Nah.
Well, also not being able to understand what's coming out of the amp really reminds me of like using a Ouija board. Mm-hmm. You know, you're like, what are you saying to us, Mr. Ghost? I don't know.
So this song was hanging around, or at least they had parts of it. Around this time, the White Stripes were getting a little bit bigger, more notoriety. They opened up for Sleater Kenny, and they opened up for Pavement. So they were getting that kind of clout. They were getting reps under their belt. But Jack is always a guy that wants to give back to his community. He really at this time held the Detroit scene near and dear to his heart. It was where he was born and raised, the bands that he came up in to learn his craft. And he wanted to put together a compilation of Detroit bands it wound up being called Sympathetic Sounds of Detroit. And it was a compilation of garage rock and punk bands from Detroit. It featured the White Stripes, the now maligned Von Bondies, the Dirt Bombs, and go ahead.
Oh, so when I was listening to this song on repeat, the song that would come on after it every single time was Come On, Come On by the Von Bondies. And I was like, how odd. Like, why would the Von Bondies be on? And then I, like, you know, of course, recalled the evergreen incident of Jack White fully assaulting the lead singer of the Von Bondies.
That's right. He had his motivations, but in the end, he accepted the consequences, which is
and
the way you do it.
And also because of listening to it, I was like, the Von Bondies, they are like related to the White Stripes. I had to look it up again, and I looked up the outcome. I think it's in the Wikipedia article about that moment.
Yeah.
I can't remember the exact number, but he entered a guilty plea, and part of it was a fine, and the fine was like $450 or something like that. Like, it was like some number where I was like, even inflation adjusted, that is hilariously low. Like, Detroit must be a crazy place where you can just like swing on some dude you know in a bar, like do like 12 hours of community service, and like, you know,
I don't do that again.
Buy like an Xbox One and like be like, sorry, the court, I did bad.
not that Jack has some highfalutin kind of, you know, rich guy tendencies, but I'd be more than happy to have seen him pull out a big stack of money and just pull off a few hundreds and say, donate, you know, put the rest into the food bank or something here.
Yeah.
So
that was very funny.
He puts together this compilation, and it's rather a unique compilation. So he got all these bands to come in as they were touring or when they had free time, and they would come into Jack's attic where the White Stripes recorded and produced, which is great for two people. A 5-person band, not so much. And it was basically you show up with your guitars or your pedal board, or in a drummer's case, probably your snare, and everybody records on the same equipment with the same kind of settings, just to get a very, not lightning in a bottle, but it's a capsule of this band at this time with these circumstances. And the one thing he asked for before they were going to perform their song was start playing the blues off the top of your head. And I want to capture what your band's interpretation of the blues is. And that was also included in this compilation. So you'd hear a lot of stuff you never heard before that was blues adjacent, and then they would go into their songs. What are your thoughts on this approach to a compilation album for the scene that you love?
I like this idea a lot. It also kind of sounds like an automatic concept album. You know what I mean? Where you're like, it's like you said, it's like what do you call it? It's a time capsule. It's a concept album. And it's like it's almost like the White Stripes microcosm concept, where you're like, okay, we're going to limit what you do and see what you come up with. But like, you're putting less limitations on these other people because you're like, we're working in a group project and we don't want them to have to like put their left arm behind their back or whatever.
No, and I like the idea, Jack is a firm believer in kind of just capturing the spirit of something as organically as possible. Why do a second take when the first one is fine? That kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And he's also a big believer in kind of restricting himself and restricting the band. The White Stripes are all about limitations. So to go into a sweaty, tiny attic in the middle of summer, 5 of your guys crammed in there trying, recording the loudest music possible and hoping that it sounds good. Like, those are less than ideal circumstances, and whatever is going to come out of that is either, if you're a legitimate artist and a band that's got it together, something pretty cool is going to come out of it. And maybe if you're a little more less put together, let's say, then it would probably not benefit you, and maybe you weren't able to capture something. But he took his White Stripes ideas and applied it to the scene, and it was a really good compilation. I remember buying it at Scratch Records in 2002.
I generally believe that creativity shines the most when you're overcoming limitations, when you're overcoming like adverse situations, right? Like,
yep.
You know, it also like tends to be good for storytelling, right? Where you're like, what, you know, what a really like kind of like a story that no one cares about is like, yeah, this guy was good at everything. He succeeded all the time, all the way through. Started out good, went good, finished good. You know what I mean? Like, he had all the resources he needed, and he gathered them, used them the way they were supposed to. Like, that's not a compelling story, right? So better stories, like, yeah, they didn't have enough, so the first drum set was actually upside down pots and pans. And they used wooden spoons and, like, you know, made a guitar out of a milk box, and it rocked. You know, that's like, for whatever reason, that's a better story, more compelling. And, you know, you got like a bunch of sweaty people up in the attic, all sharing one snare. And, like, you know, you got some pretty cool names in there by the end of it. Like, and like, for all those people, like, they recorded with the White Stripes in what, 2000? Like, that's pretty cool, man. Like, watching the videos that you sent to me of the, you know, performance of this song, like, it's crazy seeing how much Jack White's like body has changed. He was such a like thin rail guy back in the day.
Yeah,
it's hard to even remember these times. But
they're
like,
just impressionable youth that are still. And I sent you a clip from, you know, late 2000, and they're just like, they're not 100% sold on themselves yet. They have the idea in mind, but they're still like, I hope. It feels like with all of those gigs, they're going out there going, I hope this works. I hope.
Yeah.
They're not trying to make people like them, but they're wanting them to dig the music. And I feel like we're still a stretch in the White Stripes history from that being a guaranteed thing every night.
Also, like, I think there's a thing with, it's especially noticeable with artists because they have to. And here's the thing where it's like, I don't think, like, on average, people have this like dual need. One is to be seen, and the other is to not be seen, right? Like, so like you need to fit that exact right middle for most people to be comfortable. But artists can't do that. Like, in the world where you need to promote your art and like make a living, you have to just like, oh, I'm getting out there, I'm gonna be seen whether I like it or not. And a lot of people don't like it, right? So
oh yeah,
it can be very, very uncomfortable, but you're like, I'm gonna get on stage, I'm gonna act weird, and if people like it, they like it, but like there's no guarantee that that's gonna go my way. So being like a bit self-conscious, especially early days, and I think like also young people have it the hardest, where they're like, if I do this wrong, I'm gonna be uncool forever. You know?
Ever.
Yeah. And like you probably like explain this to your friends, and some of them were like, yo, bro, that idea sucks. Like, do not do the Three Colors band where you play like Delta blues with this weird girl. You know, like, like, I'm telling you, man, don't do that.
Or they're like, yeah, that's a great idea. That's gonna fill arenas.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, it just goes to show, when you are true to yourself and exactly what you want to achieve, eventually the crowds in Topeka or Battle Creek, Michigan, or Spokane will get bigger and bigger and bigger, and people will get it because that resonates with them.
Absolutely. And like, yeah, how would I put it? Like, yeah, you just like can't, even though these people seem to want a lot of attention, you cannot really guarantee that that's the case or that they're comfortable with that. You know, maybe they want attention because they want this mission to work.
Yeah.
Not because they actually just love you looking at them, if that makes any sense.
Dude, you are read any White Stripes interview, any quote around this time. Like, they wanted to get their music to as many people as possible. They didn't necessarily want to be celebrities or famous people, but like, to get music as readily available as possible, you kind of got to do those things that wind up making you a famous person. And the whole theme of their next album, White Blood Cells, is all around that, of all of these bacteria that go to infect the band, and how they are they gotta fend them off. And go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say one thing that I think might be obvious now, but wasn't so much then because of influencers and the internet, is like putting on this armor of character.
Yeah.
Can like kind of offset the weird self-conscious feeling that people would have, like, presenting themselves in this kind of odd way. But now with like influencers and like internet culture, not to go back to wrestling, but we expect a bunch of kayfabe from people where they're like, yeah, I'm actually the coolest guy on earth. And like, people like know instinctively that that's not true, but they accept it because they know that's your like internet persona.
Yeah.
And we see a lot of it, but I don't think in like rock and roll, there was no difference in the year 2000. We were like, yeah, that's what Poison's actually like. That's what Nirvana was actually like. We're just accepting it because like the only access we had to these people was like music videos and interviews. So if they were good enough at showing off who they were in like this really curated like slice, we were like, yeah, that's just what Snoop Dogg acts like, that's just who he is. We don't expect him to go home and like eat a normal dinner and like have complaints about bills and stuff and be tired. Yeah. But like, but now it's like, oh, it's so clear that that's what so many people are doing that it just doesn't even feel like, I feel like you could do it with a lot more like bravado and less self-consciousness now.
I would absolutely agree with you. And the band in question that we're talking about features like one of the shyest, quietest, most reserved individuals of all time, hurled into the spotlight because as I read in my White Stripes book I just finished, like an arty person, wanted to create something cool and went along with the ride because she knew it was special. And then she kind of realizes, I'm not going to do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. And having that character, and I'm a character wearing red, white, and black, and I'm somebody's big sister, like, yeah, people just assume that you are impervious to real feelings, real life situations, real challenges, because you're like, well, it's the kayfabe.
People, it's strange that I bring up this kind of example both ways, but like the kayfabe of it all makes people seem like they are not going to be hurt by your like strange comments about them or whatever.
Yeah,
it makes like their actions seem like more normal when they're weird, but it also makes people feel like you're less of a person when they talk about you. You're more of an object. You're more of like something that is to be ogled and commented on.
Yeah,
which makes people very uncomfortable when they like actually look at the comments, and you're like, oh, so that's what people think of,
And to get away, Jack always says that to get away with a bunch of white people playing blues music, they've kind of created these personas, and you could argue that they were subject to being objectified almost immediately because of what they wanted to do in terms of, of how they wanted to present their art. And man, this has been an excellent sidetrack and a little side quest, and it fits in perfectly with this song, and really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Let's so here's the other couple things about this the song and the band's legacy. It is one of the most rare White Stripes 45s out there. It was included in the September 2002 issue of Mojo magazine in the United Kingdom, and you could if you were lucky that you were awarded one, they sent you a letter congratulating you. There were only 3,000 copies. Each one was hand stamped. So like it is very legit, and it's a coveted one. It's, you will be spending some money just to get a copy of this one-sided single featuring this very good song. And I'm just reviewing the letter here. Thanks for joining in on our offer, and may your Red Death at 614 bring you health, wealth, and much leaping around in front of your mirror. Kind regards, Mojo Magazine.
And yeah, unfortunately, I'm not familiar with Mojo Magazine. Is this the type of thing that they're into, like sending out singles?
They were, I believe it was a UK magazine. I would go to the Virgin Megastore and spend way too much money. I think it was a British one, and so it'd be really expensive to get. But
so that's currently where the Adidas store is now, on Robson and Burrard.
I know it as Victoria's Secret, young man.
Yeah, same. But now, I mean, we're living in the past like boomers. That is no longer Victoria's Secret.
Oh, yeah, that's quite bleak. But yeah, Mojo was a kind of it was just another music magazine like NME or Spin or Q. And back when people bought magazines and reporters were paid money to interview and follow bands around, just like as depicted in the 2000 film Almost Famous. Handsprings was also packaged with, Red Death at 614 was also packaged with Handsprings, another popular single at the time from the White Stripes, and it was a record store day release in 2012. But man, I have a couple questions for you.
Mm-hmm.
In preparation for this episode, I learned something that I had no idea existed. My first question for you, being a Vancouver born and raised and from the west side of town, how easy would it be for you to get in contact with Seth Rogen?
So he went to the same high school I did, but well before I entered. Like, I think he was graduated, or, if I know his life story, I don't know if he actually like finished high school, like physically in the space of Point Grey.
Yeah.
But I don't I can't think of a person I could call to get in contact with him. So I wouldn't say it was easy necessarily. No. In theory it might be, but I don't know the path. I couldn't.
Yeah, you'd have to break out the string to connect it.
Yeah, I'd have to start working the phones and start asking questions rather than having answers.
You remember in Superbad where Evan leaves Seth and he's like, wait a minute, I got to sit and eat alone like I'm Steven fucking Glansberg?
100%. That's a real guy.
Yeah, I know that guy.
Yeah. He also went to Point Grey. So
yeah,
it's like that line in the movie, like being in there as written when they were kids, is so funny to me, because they just were like, yeah, left it in. Glansberg is getting roasted again.
Yes. So I'm serious. He married a classmate of Gita and mine at BCIT. So
yeah,
I think I might have to explore the Glansberg route. I say this because I think Seth Rogen is a White Stripes fan.
Okay.
There was a movie. You remember the movie Funny People?
Yes.
He wears a Raconteur shirt in it. That's a movie I really liked that wasn't very good. Actually, no, it was a movie I really liked, but it wasn't that popular. I still think it's a good movie. A little long. Would
also,
you believe
Randy? We're like, you're never gonna get another movie with Randy in it. That was an incredible piece of art by what was his name? Aziz Ansari's fake comedian that he invented. His take on what a popular comedian was, and it was way funnier than his actual comedy for me. But
at Marble Slab Creamery.
Yeah, like it, love it, gotta have it.
Gotta have it. Okay, so Would you believe that this song, Red Death at 6:14, which you probably didn't know about until 48 hours ago, was in a movie?
I can believe it. It's very filmic. Like they, because the White Stripes so heavily like prioritize making like kind of that emotional music, I can kind of imagine them getting slammed over a bunch of different film.
What if I told you that it was in a universally panned film? Unfortunately, universally panned.
Oh no.
It appeared in a very bad movie, and that was 2011's The Green Lantern.
Let's roll, Kato.
I think you've found out. I think you're correct. Seth Rogen is a fan of the White Stripes. Whether we have enough evidence for that or not will be determined at a future date. But I think you're onto something.
Blue Orchid also appears in the film The Green Lantern, and yeah, somebody on the Green Lantern with a lot of sway has said, "Hey, here's a song that nobody knows, but I'm gonna need it featured prominently in my movie." And they went, "Okay."
But that was the Green Hornet, no?
No, Green Lantern. Wait.
The movie we just saw the clip from? That was
Damn
him
it, it
with
is the
Kato. That's the Green Hornet.
Fuck.
Green Lantern is with Ryan Reynolds, playing DC superhero extraordinaire.
I'm just gonna leave that flub in.
No, that's cool. I mean, it's almost impossible to pull out. There's so many mentions of the Green Lantern at this point. I called him the Natural earlier. Like we're flubbing today. It's okay.
Green Hornet. My dad is.
Let me bring it back. Just like the record, this is a time capsule from today. This is an artifact. We did some goofs and like it's fine. The audience can know that. If you know what, you can also edit them out. It's not up to me.
I can't leave. I don't want to edit that out. And it's funny is my dad was a big like comic book Batman kind of Batman adjacent guy. And when we got to a certain age, we could play with his die cast, 60s Batmobile and thing. He had the Green Lantern car.
Yeah.
No, he had the Green Hornet car.
There we
go. It was really cool. And the Green Hornet was held in high regard in the Schaap family until that movie came out. And my dad was like, oh, that's a piece of garbage. But I can't wait to tell him that I goofed Green Hornet and
he's going to be
Green
disappointed.
Lantern. The old man's not going to be pleased in the least bit. But
those are very different IPs.
So the featured in the Green Hornet movie, featuring Seth Rogen, who we suspect is a big White Stripes fan, and we will begin a side quest to get him on the show to spill his guts.
That'd
Finally,
be beautiful.
Oh, think of the laughs, think of the Vancouver references. Maybe he saw the White Stripes at the Piccadilly pub. You never know.
That'd be incredible.
Speaking of live performances, this song was only played live 3 times, twice in the year 2000, once on January 14th at the Magic Stick in Detroit, which is also the first night they played I'm Bound to Pack It Up. They played it at the Empty Bottle in Chicago on December 15th. And then they randomly played it at a festival in Europe on August 21st, 2004. And that is that. You listen to some of the live versions, clearly this had not been in their head for, the 04 one, I can't remember the last time they would have played it or thought about it.
So,
how did it come off live to your ears?
It sounded like they hadn't played it in a while. Not necessarily that it sounded like out of practice, but like it sounded like they changed it a lot. And there was at a festival called Pukkelpop, it seemed like something like that, from Belgium. I'd never heard of it, but then doing the research for this episode, I clicked the Wikipedia link, and it's pretty big. Like it's a type of festival that like at least now they have like 300,000 people showing up. The attendance is like 300K. And the year that the White Stripes, when they played, they were headlining. They were, top 3 billing on the Wikipedia. And there must have been like 100 other artists. So it's a pretty big stage.
Look at this lineup, God.
It's crazy. Yeah, like one of the people that wasn't even on the top of the bill was like 50 Cent.
Yeah.
I think that they were in there. Like, I can't remember. All the artist names blend together, but it's huge.
Mm-hmm.
And 2004, they were definitely absolutely swagging out there. But yeah, it didn't. The version they played at Pukkelpop sounded like quite a departure from the recorded versions or the live version from like 4 years before. And like, that'll happen when you don't play a song for 4 years, I think.
I think it's a super fun song. Again, it is one of my favorite White Stripes songs. I wish they played it more live, but I kind of get the sense why they didn't, or it is 3 different songs. It's kind of all over the place, and I think this is a song that has been predominantly featured. It was a single, giveaway single. It was featured on this on that compilation, Sympathetic Sounds for Detroit. So I feel like they hold this song in regard, and if they can't do it properly, then maybe let's not. Or I like playing this song, but we got a couple other songs that are kind of like it that we kind of like playing a bit more, and just comes with the number. It's a numbers game.
As a drummer, I will also say that like I can imagine a world where Meg is like, can we not play this song that like has me start and stop 4 times in it and like play different speeds and like, yeah, I don't know. Like, it's just like, it's all really simple, but it's all like stuff that you could flub monstrously and destroy the whole song.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. Like, it's just like you're a metronome for like 4 different parts and they're all different speeds. And you all just have to like perfectly come back in whenever the song's starting again. And I would hate to drum this song, even though it's so simple.
Yeah.
But that's why like your errors would be glaring. Like, do you remember the game Guitar Hero? If you'd strum wrong, it would be like clonk, and you'd be like, no. Well, it's like that, but for drumming.
That's a great point, because a lot of the cues in this song are coming in unison with Jack. Like it's you're not just holding it down, like you are playing in unison. So like, Jack's all over the place and he's going nuts because that's how he likes to play live. This song would be difficult for everybody, and especially Meg, who's like, okay, are we going to keep playing this song? Is he going to change it up? Like, I got 5 parts. I got 5 parts from this song that we recorded 4 years ago, even though we have all these hits that I also got to remember. Like, yeah, it's a tough spot to be in, and they made the right decision in that, or the decision that probably benefited them the most.
Yeah. The risk reward is like, do we get to play Red Death?
Yeah.
Versus other like incredibly popular songs.
Yes. Matt, as we wrap up, I like to ask our beloved guest the same question. After listening to this song several times and talking about it for nearly an hour, the next time you listen to it, whenever that may be down the road, what is going to go through your mind?
Well, the story you told me is impossible to forget about Rude Rick.
Rude Rick
is never. I'm like, the next time I hear this song, it'll just be like the intro with Rude Rick, the haunting of the electronics, the ghosts in the machine. I don't know why, but like for whatever reason, that stuff like creeps me out, and I won't be able to forget that, I think.
I honestly, the next time that I hear a humming amp, you'll hear one in a bit, like it's probably going to take me to Rude Rick calling you out for not respecting the southwest side of Detroit.
Well, like I said though before, I've had that type of thing happen, but I've never had it go both ways, where you can broadcast as well as receive. I've only had it receive, and it's always the radio, like the FM radio, I think. And having it like, broadcast your like, how is the amp even picking up the sound through the guitar pickups? Like, that's so weird. I don't even want to explain this. This is such a strange malfunction. I can't. It's ghosts. It's ghosts.
Ghosts, man. And
spirits.
it's all we can say is that we'll pour one out on the curb tonight for Rude Rick, and
Definitely.
Thanks for scaring the shit out of us, Mr. Rude.
Yeah, this is the type of thing that you would think would happen to like My Chemical Romance or Rob Zombie, not the White Stripes, you know?
Yeah. That was Matt. I'm Ryan and Matt. That's a sleeper episode, folks. There's a lot about Red Death at 6:14. Plus, you have our goofs and flubs and technical errors. So, yeah, that episode won't look as pretty as the other ones, but if the recordings worked correctly, it would have been the prettiest one of all. Because if you've seen that Matt Kerr, God, what a looker. We will be back next week, because we do our best. We should be back next week. New episode, new conversation. Because the Hardest Podcast to Podcast is hosted and produced by me. Got my thumbs, my RVD thumbs. Ryan Schaap. Artwork by Catlin Likely. Amanda Schultz is our assistant editorial producer. She's got AirPods in and just looked over at me as I said that. And Mike Noble is our Gato.